Hello and welcome to the ThunderWizard.com Manifestation Mastery course. This is video 4A. Remember, there's an A video and a B video. In the A video, we look at the overview and the theory, and in the B video, we get into some specific hacks that you can use to access the power of the law of attraction and the law of manifestation and to create the life that you want. That's my job. My desire here is to give you the tools so that you yourself can become your own guru, your own teacher, and then you can go and do it. You don't have to listen to anybody else. Once you've got the tools, you can go do it. You don't need me. You don't need anybody. That's my goal. That's the idea. So, in this video, we are going to expand on what we talked about in the last video. So if you remember in the last video, if you haven't watched it, by the way, go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com and watch the videos from the beginning. And if you watch the previous video, then you know that we talked about what happens when people just can't seem to get the law of attraction to work. What is the deal there? Why can't they get that to work? That for some people the law of attraction works, they figure it out and they go do it, and we've talked about that they have, their unconscious mind has been programmed to automatically link the law of manifestation to the law of attraction, that they don't have any unconscious conflicts. They're lucky enough to have been trained, or they have been able to train themselves so that they don't have unconscious conflicts. You just explain to them the law of attraction, they go, oh, that makes sense, they go do it, and everything's wonderful. And but there are people who you give them the law of attraction and it just doesn't work. I know that there are people listening to me that have done that. You sat on the edge of your bed, you thought good thoughts, you had good feelings, you put up your vision board, and none of it came true. I know I know for a fact that there's a lot of people that happens to. So don't feel bad. It's not your fault. It's because there's some things missing in the law of attraction, and there's some things you need to know, and that's my job. I'm going to hip you to all of that, man. All right, so now we're going to be talking about what happens to people who practice the law of attraction and boom, it works. And things start coming to them, and they imagine things, and they intend things, and they think about the things that they want, and those things start magically coming to them. And then all of a sudden, it stops. Maybe it slows down, maybe it sputters, or maybe it just comes to an abrupt stop, and then no matter how hard you try, you can't even get past where you are. Or sometimes then you start regressing and you start going back, and then for some people, that's what happens. It works, and they make some progress, and then it's like they get pulled back, and they end up right where they were. So in this scenario, we have something similar to what happens to the people who just can't get anything done. We talked about that at length, and that is people have an unconscious conflict. And so remember, what is the law of attraction according to how it's taught? The law of attraction by itself says that everything is a vibration, and that where you're vibrating sends out like a vibrational shock wave into the matrix of the universe. And then what ends up happening is that those things that vibrate on that same level are magnetically drawn to you. Again, this is partially true. This is not false. But what ends up happening is it assumes, as I said, that there's only two minds, the conscious and the subconscious. And if there's only two minds, then the subconscious is this empty, this empty plate, and you can put on that plate whatever you want, and then it'll manifest that. So why doesn't it work? It doesn't work because people who try to intend and nothing happens, it means that underneath the subconscious is the unconscious mind. And in the unconscious mind, they have a conflict. which means, let's say, for example, somebody decides that they want to become a millionaire. And so they put that on the plate of their subconscious. I'm going to become a millionaire. They put it on, and they tattoo it on themselves. They put a vision board, whatever it is that they do to keep programming their subconscious mind to manifest $1 million, but nothing happens. The reason is because in the unconscious mind, they have a pattern. They have a belief. Let's say, for example, somebody has a belief that money is evil. Consciously, they really want that $1 million. They put it into the subconscious mind. It goes out there. The subconscious mind says, get back here. Because the unconscious mind has to be in agreement. The unconscious mind, as we talked about before, is like the gasoline in the engine. If you don't have the power in your intention, it won't go anywhere. It'll just sit there. And then you end up going, why? I'm doing everything right. I'm thinking about it. I'm feeling, well, it's because you have a conflict. Your unconscious mind is like the president and will veto whatever bill you put in front of it if it doesn't agree. So if somewhere in this person's life as they were growing up, they were told that money was evil, they're not consciously aware of it. That happened 10, 20, 30 years ago when they were a little kid. They don't believe that consciously anymore, but on an unconscious level, they think money is evil. So no matter how hard they try to get that $1 million, the unconscious mind will absolutely veto and stop that. It'll prevent that from happening. Now we've got a different scenario. Now we've got somebody who can intend the $1 million, and they put that into their subconscious mind, and all of a sudden money starts flowing to them. And now they've gone from, making 20 grand a year to 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, and they start making their way up, and then all of a sudden it hits 80, 90 grand a year and it stops. And no matter how much they keep intending for that $1 million, it stays right around, and then maybe they start to lose, maybe it goes backwards. What is happening there? What is happening when somebody starts to see a return on their intention, their positive intention, and then it stops? Well, this is different. It's in the same neighborhood as an unconscious conflict, but it's not a direct conflict. In the previous one, we had somebody who said, I want $1 million, and the unconscious mind said, no, money is bad. You cannot have any money at all. So it's just a complete conflict. They're just a total... In this case, the unconscious mind is not in complete conflict. It has an arbitrary limitation. So in the example I gave, they get to around 80, 90,000 a year, and the unconscious mind says, yeah, we're going to stop right there. And no matter what you do, you can't seem to make any, consciously you want it. It worked before, it was really working. Why is it stopped now? So the unconscious mind has a limitation, whatever that is. Now, in my experience, again, we're using money because in my experience, for the most part, people come to the law of attraction because, number one, they want money. Number two, they want love. And by the way, I am going to do a whole series on love. So hold on to that. You want to see me get all squishy and gooey, I'm going to do a whole series on love. That's coming up next. Second thing that people want is love. And then the third thing that people want is health. Those are the three things that people come to the law of attraction for. And, friendship and all that kind of stuff. I guess that goes with love. So that's why I'm talking about money. So this person has an arbitrary limit at around $80,000, $90,000. They can't seem to get past that. Why? I mean, it could be anything. It could be 30, 40, it could be 200,000. It doesn't matter. See, here's the thing. It's all arbitrary. All of it. It's all arbitrary. Now, my personal belief is that when you get in touch with what it is that you truly want, then you don't have to be thinking about how much. You don't have to make that decision, because then you end up getting what you want. So I'm going to explain to you how to break past a limitation. It could be, where you live. It could be how you live. But my experience has been that these limitations are completely arbitrary. And the only thing that stands between you and infinity is simply your desire on an unconscious level. Not your need, not your obsession, but your actual unconscious desire. That when you get in touch with what it is that you truly want, that you truly own it and accept it on an unconscious level, there's no limit. No limit to what you can have, what you can achieve, what you can experience. No limit. So, what do you do? What do you do to fix that? So, there's a 3-step solution. I spent all day, I went down to the beach and I spent all day thinking about this. I knew it intuitively, but I want to be able to put it in words. So I spent all day thinking about it. And I came to realize that there's a 3-step solution to this. So the first one is you have to become aware. Remember, things are happening on the unconscious level. Unconscious, what does that mean? It means you're not aware of it. Remember, there are 3 minds. Your conscious, your subconscious, and your unconscious. Your unconscious mind is the 99% of the iceberg you can't see. It does everything. It's doing all of the work. I did one of my previous ones, I said you got to activate the subconscious mind, and somebody I don't think had been following me for very long or watched my video said, the subconscious can do everything. No, it can't. The unconscious can do everything. The subconscious can only do what the unconscious will allow it to do. So it's helpful to become aware of the limitation. So, all right, so I got so many thoughts, I get scrambled. So the first step is to become aware of what is the unconscious limitation. In the previous example, in the previous video, we talked about somebody who just has a conflict, who says that money is evil on the unconscious level. Their conscious mind says, I want to be a millionaire. Unconscious mind says money is evil, and they're fighting with each other, and the unconscious mind wins every time. The unconscious will win every single time, which is why it's so important to become aware. This is what meditation is all about. I don't care what kind of meditation we're talking about. Stillness meditation, movement meditation, yoga, qigong, tai chi, mantra meditation. I do not care. Surfing, I don't care what you do for meditation. It is all about getting to the place where you can become conscious of these unconscious patterns and beliefs. What we tend to do on a daily basis is we tend to reaffirm our unconscious beliefs. We all do it. Some people more than others. Do you know that uncle? The uncle that comes to Thanksgiving, who when they sit down and they've had a couple of beers, they start talking about the government and they start going off on the government and how the government, it could be whatever. Maybe you're one of those people, you go off on the government. On religion, I do that. Whatever it is that they go off on. And if there's some negative thing about what, like my brother used to go off on women. Why women only want men with money, and if you don't have money, women won't want you, and if you that was his unconscious programming. And he kept on reaffirming that for himself. And I'd roll my eyes because it was just like, oh my God, it's the same story over and over again. Well, he's doing that because see, here's the thing. Those unconscious beliefs, patterns that don't jive with physical reality are constantly being challenged by the universe. If our identity is wrapped up in a limitation, in a victim mentality, listen, people get off on their anger. They get off on their anger, they get off on their pain, they get off on feeling like a victim. There's a payoff in it. I won't get into all of that. And so what ends up happening is that the universe starts to try and untangle that, and so what do? They keep reaffirming it. This is why I keep hammering away on some things over and over and over again, is because I am hammering at your unconscious mind I am trying to do my part to keep reaffirming to your unconscious mind the assumptions that go along with what I teach. And if you can get them in there and absorb them and overcome any conflicts that you have about them and start operating on them, then you can start creating from that. That's really what a teacher is. A spiritual teacher, same as a counselor, as a psychologist, as a mentor, as a life coach, you know, the variations in different things, they're doing the same thing. They are repeating the same message over and over and over again. Politicians do this. I mean, there are some, I'm not going to get into politics right now, but there are some beliefs out there. Pick whichever side you want. You know, the left or the right, it doesn't matter. They both do the same thing. They come up with the catchphrases and they keep repeating them, even if they're completely false. Even if the first time you hear it, you know it's completely false. They keep repeating it over and over and over again. They appeal to you on an emotional level. They manipulate you emotionally and then they throw the same false, catchphrase, and pretty soon you believe it. And that's how they control you. You do that to yourself. Every time you find yourself repeating the same story, especially if it's a whining, complaining story, what you're doing is you're reaffirming your unconscious belief about whatever the heck it is so you can stay where you are. Right? My brother would go off on many things, but he would go off on women. I never had that problem. You know, I've been, up until recently, I've been poor most of my life. And I never had problems finding beautiful, successful women that wanted to be with me. I never had a problem with that. I'm not trying to brag, but I don't have that. I love women. I love being around them. I love giving to them. I love receiving from them. So I don't have that weird thing in my head about women. He does. And I know a lot of other guys that have that same thing. The MGTOW boys. We won't talk about them. So the point I'm trying to make here is that you need to become conscious. How do you do that? We're going to talk about that. So the first thing, you got to become aware. But you can only become aware of what you're aware of. You can't become aware of what you don't know. When somebody says to you, you're like, let's say somebody says, you're a really angry person. Now, if you get that message from 2 or 3 people, you're a really angry person, you're a really angry person, and you're like, I don't feel angry. Well, then something's going on the unconscious level. So when somebody says something like that to me, the best response I can truly give is, if that's true, I'm not aware of it. That's really the only real answer anybody can say about who and what they are. You're a this, you're a that, you're like this, you think this way. If that's true, I'm not aware of it. Like if somebody were to come up to me and I laugh because I'm so far on the spectrum the other way. If somebody were to come to me and tell me that I was that I was a homosexual, I would say, I'm not aware of that. If that's true, I am definitely not aware of that. Now, it doesn't matter what it is. And by the way, I have no issue. We're all on a spectrum somewhere, so we don't need to go there. I'm just trying to give an example. You only know what it is, what you know. So in order to get past a limitation or a conflict, you have to become aware of it. So meditation is the first way to do that. And in the next video, we're going to talk about some specific meditations that you can do for overcoming these limitations. So that's the first thing. First thing you got to do is you got to become aware. The second thing you got to do is what happens, again, you're only as aware as you're aware. Right now, all that you know is that you've hit this limitation. It's an arbitrary limitation, and for whatever reason, you can't figure it out. You're stuck at 30,000 a year or 80,000 a year or whatever your limitation is. You're stuck there, and you can tell because you can see in your bank account that that's what keeps coming through no matter what you do. So, and your intention is to become a millionaire, but you're stuck at that, whatever that is. So the only thing that you know for a fact is you've got a limitation that hovers right around whatever that is. Again, you can apply this to anything, love, whatever it is, but we're talking about money because it's a It's a number. All right, so you know that your limitation is whatever, 40,000 a year. That's your limitation, and you don't know why. So you're not able to magically snap your fingers and become aware of, oh, when I was 4 years old, my parents said this, and I came to this conclusion about it, blah, blah, blah. You're not able to figure that out yet. Maybe in meditation one day it will come to you, but for right now, it's not coming. You just know that's my limitation. Well, so there's a hack that you can use to break that. And what you need to do is you need to find inventive ways to push the boundary and ways that you can hack into that and get very creative to push the boundary, to take risks and push that boundary so that you're able to then put yourself in a position where you're forced to change that. And then what will happen is, as you go up against that boundary, guess what? You go past that boundary, guess what will happen? All of a sudden, the resistance will kick in. And if you're able to be aware and watch yourself, you will become aware of, oh, that's why. I don't know what it is. But the truth is, you don't even need to know. You just need to know how to push that hack to go beyond. And then even if you don't become aware, you will have some kind of resistance, assuming that there is that limitation there. Then you'll feel it. Maybe you won't know it, but you're going to have some feeling about it. All right. So we're going to talk about that in the number B video as well. I'm going to give you a specific type of example of how to hack into that and to break through that. Okay. So we'll talk about that in the B video. All right, so that's number 2. So number 1 is you got to become aware. Number 2, you got to hack into the limitation and you got to push the boundary, and then you will have to become aware, and then things will change. Will begin to change. Now the third thing, this is probably the most important thing, is that you've got to continue to do some very specific, disciplined actions, hacking into your unconscious mind. This is a constant process. So bear in mind that, the idea that, oh, I'll become aware and then it'll be over. It doesn't work like that. I mean, I'm okay if it does work like that. In some cases, obviously, sometimes it does. But in my experience, most of the time, these unconscious patterns and blocks are very resilient. And see, the thing about your unconscious mind is that the unconscious mind doesn't send you a postcard and say, here's what, it doesn't give you blackmail demands, like in the movies, somebody gets kidnapped and then the kidnapper sends you a demand, send me X amount of money at this and don't bring any cops and I'll give you back your daughter or your son or whatever it is. We think that the unconscious mind is going to do that. We think we're going to become aware, and it's going to, and then we're going to know, and then I see right through you, and we're going to. It doesn't work like that. The unconscious mind is very devious. Bear in mind, once again, the unconscious mind is here to protect you. It's just mistaken. This is a concept that if you can understand this concept, you will be able to work with your unconscious mind, continue through life. I have just come to accept that my unconscious mind will always find some new inventive way to come up and distract me. Now, sometimes it's the same old thing over and over, and I see it, and I feel it, and I've been on this rodeo before, I've ridden this bull before, I know how it works, and I know what to do. But sometimes you end up on a different bull in that rodeo and you don't know how to handle that one. And sometimes your unconscious mind comes at you and will deceive you. You think it makes perfect sense. Have you ever dealt with people like this? Like people who you can look at them and you can see that their life is just, oh my God, your life is so screwed up and it's so easy. Just do this. Why do you keep doing that? You don't understand. I have to. And then they come up with these crazy reasons that just don't make any sense. And then you just give up and you say, hey, it's your life, do whatever. Well, the unconscious, that's their unconscious mind. So, if you have people like that around you, it's really great because you can see people coming up with these irrational defenses for why they do stupid things. They just keep, I can come up with a few people in my life, but we all do it. So bear in mind that when you start to make advances, you start to grow beyond your limitations, you start to see some improvements, the unconscious mind is going to find some very, very ingenious ways to distract you and fool you. So a lot of times you're being distracted by your unconscious mind and you just have no clue. This is why it's so important, number one, to have a mentor, to have a teacher, to have a support system, to have people around you whom you admire. They say hang out with the winners. If you go and read, books on really successful people, almost always one of their steps is going to be, spend time with people who know more than you that you respect and learn from them, hang around them, watch what they do. Having those people around, because they will in immediate, just tell you where you're screwed up. And listen to them. That kind of old school wisdom, of sit down, shut up, and listen. They'll do that kind of thing. You don't know crap, just sit down and listen, or just shut up and watch. That's hard on the ego to hear that, but that's some of the best way to learn. That is why I do that. Like on the question and answers, people will ask questions, and it may seem that I'm being really intolerant and I'm being mean, but what's happening is that I've got a short amount of time. I know what's going on with them. I want to slap them out of it. The limitation on that is that usually those are people who have a lot of unconscious conflicts and issues, and they're just wrapped up in all this craziness, and really they need somebody to sit down with them and spend a lot of time with them, and I don't have time to do that in 30 seconds. But it's also there for you to watch. You can watch and listen and hear what's going on with that so that you can apply it to yourself. Everybody is my teacher. Everybody. People who know more than I do, I listen to them. I listen to the feminine. I listen to what women say. If 3 or 4 women that don't know each other say the same thing to me, I know that's something I need to do something about. Now you find whatever it is for you. I listen to the feminine voice. Again, I love women. I listen to the feminine voice, and if the same thing comes out of 3 or 4 different women, I know that's something I got to do, even if I don't like it. So, the people who screw up, that you just have no respect for, sit down and talk to them. Listen to the garbage that comes out of their mouth. Listen to the ridiculous nonsense that comes out of their mouth when you ask them, well, why don't you do it differently? Well, why don't you try this? Or why doesn't this work for you? Because you'll hear how the unconscious mind is incredibly devious. And even other people can, listen, here's the thing, you're not fooling anybody. You may be fooling yourself, but you're not fooling the rest of the world. You're not fooling the rest of the world, and so listen to what they have to say. Okay? All right, so I'm starting to babble. So those are the 3 steps. When you are working the law of attraction, you've put your intention into your subconscious mind, and you're looking for this, and we're using the example of money. You want to become a millionaire, and you've gone from 20,000 a year, and now you're up to 70, 80,000 a year, and then things stop. What do? There's not an unconscious conflict. Your unconscious mind hasn't said money is bad. Your unconscious mind has said this is all that we're going to do. This is as much as I'm going to let you have. So why is that? So we have to become aware. If we can become aware through meditation, and again, we'll talk in the B video about some meditations you can do. If you can become aware, great. Then maybe you fix the problem. Second thing you want to do, if you can't, this is true whether you can or you can't. Sometimes you're not. You're just not going to be able to know, I just don't get it. I'm really clear. I don't know why this number is, I just can't seem to get past that number. That's okay. Because then what you do is there's a hack that you can do to push the boundaries. And I'll talk to you in the next video about how to do that. To push those boundaries that will create a need, which will do two things. It will increase your income and it will make you aware. Maybe some unpleasant ways, but it will make you aware of what the unconscious arbitrary limitation is. And then number 3, we have to do continued hacking. We have to do some continued shamanic hacking into the unconscious mind and continue to keep, like dough, we need to keeping it pliable and movable and squeezing out the, all the unconscious garbage that's in the way. And we'll talk specifically about how to do that in the B video. So remember, there's an A and a B video. The B videos, you can go to manifestation.thunderwizard.com and there will be links all over that page to click on, and or you can go directly to thunderwizard.com and click on Manifestation Mastery Course, and the B videos will be available there. There's some other resources that I want to make available to you, which if you can combine all these things together, it just, at some point, it's like taking, a broad spectrum antibiotic. At some point, it just breaks it all down, and your unconscious defenses will fall. And that is, go to matrix.thunderwizard.com and learn the 5 rules to master the matrix. If you can follow those rules, regardless of what you think, your life will change. Go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and get a mantra ritual, which will act as like a virus, antivirus program. It'll go in there and unlock, all that garbage in your unconscious mind. Go to qigong.thunderwizard.com and get celestial qigong. Combine all those things together. I know it sounds like I'm giving you a lot, but listen, I'm only giving you what has worked for me. I have no interest in giving you something that I know nothing about or that doesn't work. So if I recommend something, it's because I've proven it. I'm not telling you to do something I myself don't do. In the B video, we are going to be talking about specific ways that you can do all of these 3 things. Become aware, push the boundaries, force yourself to go beyond your limitations and grow. And 3, the continued hacks that you need to do in order to keep the unconscious mind working for you instead of against you. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.